Alright, I'm making a video on just give some tips on what to look for in a rabbit hutch. And really it's kind of hard to find a good built rabbit hutch. The best advice I always give is to try and take the time to build it yourself. You end up spending less or the same and have something that will last 10 times as long as far as quality. But this first picture I have here is a common hutch design that you'll find for sale. Pretty much the same manufacturers designed these, and they're not very practical for a rabbit. One reason with this one is that there's only one-sided open, so the bunny only has one view out and he doesn't get much of a breezeway. He feels kind of cooped in. Another thing is I think they sell this design with a pull-out pan, but it looks here like, and I've had one of these and the floor did rot through, so you need to always have your floor wire bottom. And also the whole benefit of keeping your bunny outside is just so that the manure can fall down, the urine will dry up, and then you're just left with raking dry manure instead of trying to pull out a tray with urine. It can get really messy and it's just an extra job, and might as well just keep the bunny inside if you're going to keep their try and clean something like that every day. The second picture is just another idea of the ones that are commonly on the market. Same thing with this one. It does give the rabbit more view downstairs. It's still kind of silly how it is not wire bottom. The top level you're obviously going to have to keep clean. I guess everyone assumes that the rabbit is automatically litter trained, but it's not. You have to really teach your rabbit, spend time with it. Normally indoor rabbits litter train better just for the fact that you're spending more time working with it outside. It's not really as necessary because if you have a wire bottom, it can just fall through, and you can just rake it up. It's real simple, and it's clean. Actually, cleaner too. They don't have to smell their urine up underneath them all the time. Another thing I'll mention, because I think they're just using hay in these pictures for for their advertisement, but you don't want to ever put hay or straw as a bedding for rabbits. It doesn't absorb pee. It also attracts ear mites, and so it's just not a big no-no, but I think they just put it in there without knowing. So you always want to use some kind of like aspen bedding is usually the best, absorbs the best. But like I say, if you're going to use bedding, you might as well just have an indoor cage. I'm just trying to say, make it easier on yourself. If you have an outdoor bunny, the urine can dry up in the ground, and then all you got to do is rake dry manure. Now this third picture is one that is really popular because people think it's very cute how the bunny can run downstairs and have grass to nibble on and dig a little, but what they don't understand is that a bunny can devour you'll see how long it stays grass down there. It'll be maybe a couple days and it'll be pure dirt, and you hear horror stories of people's rabbits getting something getting in and getting a snake or something, and that's just because people have these types of hutches. You can't keep your rabbit on the ground when you're not watching it. You're all night long, when you're gone all day, and your rabbit has access to the ground. You'd be surprised a rabbit can dig a little burrow very quickly. He'd be escaped. Something can easily wiggle underneath a snake, so it's just very impractical. It's not healthy. The rabbit actually will be just all its manure and dirt on the bottom there. So just and if you really think about the square footage down there of a little bit of play space, it's really not that great. You can buy a whole roll of garden wire and make a very large exercise pen, and then have it separate where you can move it around to always have nice fresh grass. This next one is just the same kind of idea, except for it's not underneath the hutch. Same thing. It's just have a you could, like I said, you could have an exercising pen about 4 times that size, where you can move it around the yard, and the rabbit won't that way you're watching it, and then have their hutch living area separate. And rabbits, sometimes they cannot be that smart. If it started pouring down raining on this rabbit, it would get wet until it figured out how to get to its home. So not very healthy there. It's not, rabbits aren't chickens. The other picture that came up, this one's just also the same redundant thing. This one is really silly though, because the area underneath, I don't think the rabbit could even stand up on its hind legs. And again, if your rabbit were to get in that back right corner there, I guess you'd have to get a net or something to get your bunny. So think about that too, getting on your hands and knees every time you're trying to get your rabbit. The next one, the same thing. The rabbit really has a lot of play area there. I guess people are, unless you're thinking you're going to move it every day to have them on grass. Just like I said, you want to avoid predators. You want to avoid getting sick. You just really need to keep your rabbit high up off the ground. It's easier on your back. You're not bending over, and you're not having that extra job of pulling out a tray to keep it clean. All right, this next one, same thing. Like I said, if you recognize all these main hutches look like they're made by the same manufacturer, and I've owned a couple of these, and they're really cheap materials like pressed wood, and it just rots and falls apart and soils, and you could kick it and it'll fall apart. This one, same thing with the first design. The rabbit can only see out one area, and then you have to pull out a tray with all that runny urine. This one is a larger one. The only thing I guess I could say that's nice about this one is the rabbit does have more viewing areas for a breezeway on the side there. Again, you still got those silly pull-out trays, just so that the rabbit can be downstairs and not get, soiled by the rabbit upstairs. But again, I wish if you just measure that little bitty area downstairs, it's just really silly to try and incorporate that. It's not going to be grass longer than a few days. It'll just be dirt and manure, and your rabbit can get sick and dig out, and other things can dig in. This one, I love how they advertise it next to a pond, so a perfect candidate for a snake coming up and getting their rabbit. And then people want to complain that you can't keep your rabbit outside. Again, rabbits are not chickens. This is not going to work. That rabbit on the right side, like I said, you'll be on your hands and knees sending your kid in there trying to get the rabbit anytime, because they're not always going to come to you. So really, it seems like I've kind of crushed people's ideas for what a rabbit hutch is, but the thing is, I think people that design these, I wonder if they've even owned rabbits for an extended period of time. And I've heard some people, they seem to do fine with them, but they don't understand how life can be just so much easier if you would just take the advice and build it the way it should be. And I was looking for a good design, and here it is. And guess who designs these? This is from the Amish. And I've came up with this design too of 10 years of owning rabbits. This is exactly how I build my hutches. I have 3 areas up front where the rabbit can see out, get a nice breeze in the front, and then you have an area in the back. It's up off the ground, so you're not bending over. It's completely wire bottom, so everything falls down, and then the urine will, dry away, and then all you do is rake the manure. You don't have to do that often. You can buy earthworms, is a good idea, and it'll stay just composted underneath the hutch, so it's not messy. The rabbits doesn't have to smell. It's got a nice big door on the front, so you can easily get your rabbit and get stuff in and around. The rabbit has area in the back to get away from, if it's really bad storms or really cold. You can put some hay or something back there for extra bedding. This one, I'm sure it has to have a door on the back. Of course, it's just not able to see in the picture because if your rabbit jumped back there, you couldn't get your rabbit without a door on the back, and also able to check on things back there and clean it out. So, like I said, if you were just Google Amish built rabbit hutches, it's kind of the design you see. You see an area up front, this open breezeway, and then an area in the back, and you've got 2 doors. It's easily accessible. It's up off the ground. It doesn't have an included play area, and I think that just comes from experience. People have been raising rabbits for years. They know what to design. I swear, these other hutches that they design, it's got to be people that just sit in their room and come up with some cute little idea, but it's just not practical. So, like I said, my best advice is just to try and build this yourself. We build these, and they last longer. It's better material than those other hutches you order online. You're going to end up having it for a lot longer, and it's just, you're going to have a much more enjoyable experience with your outdoor rabbit. I hear people complaining like rabbits are so much, with a pet, it's just a lot of responsibility, a lot of upkeep, but they're making the job for themselves because you're having to pull out a tray. The hutch is really nasty all the time, and then the area underneath, and then now you hear stories about predators. So if you just stick to the best way, you'll have just a better overall experience with your hutch and your bunny.